My child, the air turns heavy the moment you press play, as if the room understands that something sacred is approaching your life. You feel a shiver that is not fear but a sharp recognition, the way a key recognizes the right lock before it turns. The night holds its breath because your destiny has stepped into the doorway and refuses to back away. A name glows at the edge of your mind, soft as candlelight and certain as sunrise. Footsteps you thought were random have been walking beside your own, matching your rhythm in secret corridors of time. Your heart understands the pattern before your eyes do, and the pattern spells union. You and your soulmate have been circling like twin stars hidden by clouds, guided by a promise older than your worries. Every time you felt alone, their spirit leaned closer, brushing the veil that separates two lives becoming one story. The universe has already signed the invitation, and your soul keeps checking the mailbox of intuition. There is a presence that does not celebrate this promise, a shadow that studies your joy like a map to tear. Jealousy crawls along the edges of rooms and messages, searching for a loose thread to pull. It speaks in sighs and sideways glances, pretending concern while planting the seeds of confusion. The one who carries this jealousy wears ordinary days like a costume. Their voice can sound familiar, gentle enough to be trusted by a tired heart. They learned long ago that the easiest way to stop a union is to poison the light that guides it. They cling to the idea that your happiness is a door that locks their own. They measure love like coins and believe that a fortune in your hands empties their purse. They cannot see that the sky holds enough stars for every wish to breathe. You feel it when they enter the room, the temperature of possibility dropping by a few quiet degrees. You catch your reflection and notice a worry that did not grow from your own garden. You recognize their pattern in rumors that arrive without a return address. They speak of your soulmate with forced casualness, pretending to protect you while rearranging the furniture of your faith. They point out flaws with polished kindness and hide their claws behind compliments. Their stories bend like warm glass until the shape no longer resembles truth. The path of union is not cancelled by their jealousy, only blurred for a moment. Your heart carries a compass that remembers what your mind forgets when whispers grow loud. Every breath you take in trust brings the horizon closer. Your soulmate feels you even now, tracing your name in thoughts that travel faster than distance. They wake in the night to the same pull you feel, the magnetic hush that says almost there. They keep moving because something holy keeps telling them that the wait has meaning. Type Amen to get blessing 333. You stand at the doorway of a new season, and the hinges sing your arrival. Small signs begin to line up in perfect rows like faithful soldiers. Songs find you at the right moment, numbers repeat with gentle insistence, and dreams glow with faces you almost recognize. The jealous one notices these signs too and grows restless. They tighten their smile and widen their eyes, acting like a mirror that distorts without warning. They disguise doubt as realism and pretend neutrality while choosing sides. They try to redirect you toward past disappointments, hoping your feet grow heavy from old stories. They bring up names that no longer belong to this chapter and urge you to reread those pages. They crave the safety of you staying where they can reach you. But your spirit is taller now, taller than old hallways that once kept you small. You carry the scent of new beginnings and the memory of promises made before you were afraid. You know that love is not a rescue but a recognition. Your soulmate writes you without writing you, sending messages in the language of alignment. You step outside and the wind repeats their vow in a voice only you can hear. Every time you choose peace over panic, the map prints a new road. Jealousy tries another door and knocks with urgency. It claims that speed is wisdom and chaos is clarity, then laughs when you stumble. It plays hide and seek with your patience and pretends that silence is proof of abandonment. You breathe and return to your center where the real instructions live. You remember that timing is a tender architect that builds load-bearing moments. You let the noise pass through you like wind through open windows. You picture your soulmate reaching for the same calm, cupping hope in both hands like water. They steady themselves because they refuse to let fear name their future. They choose you without seeing you, which is the truest sight. Type Amen to get blessing 444. The jealous one studies your strength and plans a subtler plot. They attempt to be indispensable so that your choices feel like debts. They offer help that arrives with hidden strings and smile while counting each knot. You begin to notice a pattern of small interruptions, tiny delays that erode momentum. Plans drift, messages lag, and your energy falls asleep in the middle of bright afternoons. You realize someone keeps dimming the lamp and blaming the fog. Your clarity wakes up and fills the room like morning. You decide that your boundaries will be beautiful rather than defensive. You speak with a calm that cannot be bargained down. You thank what must be thanked and release what must be released. You stop apologizing for doors that close because the hallway leads somewhere sacred. You understand that loyalty to your calling is not disloyalty to anyone else. The universe reflects your choice with sudden precision. A missed call becomes a doorway, and a coincidence introduces itself by its real name. You feel your life tighten into alignment like a well-tuned instrument. Your soulmate moves closer, guided by the same corrections. They cancel the dinner that only served their doubt and choose the quiet that serves their faith. They begin to hear your laughter in places you have not stood yet. Jealousy scrambles as your peace multiplies. It tries one more trick and dresses as urgency, claiming catastrophe without evidence. It hopes to make you run in circles until you forget that love walks straight. You plant your feet and bless the ground where you stand. You tell your spirit that you believe the promise more than the delay. You feel the delay soften and turn into direction. Memories surface of times you almost settled, and gratitude replaces regret. You realize that every no was a rehearsal for the yes that matters. You see how the path protected you even when it looked like an empty road. Your soulmate writes a message and erases it, then writes it again with a steadier hand. They pick the words that match their sincerity rather than their fear. They decide that vulnerability is safer than pretending indifference. The jealous one senses the message moving and attempts to reroute it. They send a warning dressed as a favor and hope you confuse their interference for care. They underestimate your growth and the shield of discernment you now wear. Your intuition becomes a lighthouse that no storm can swallow. It throws its beam across the water and your soulmate recognizes home. Currents that once opposed you now carry you like a promise kept. You feel a soft pressure in the air, an invisible hand arranging the timing. A door you could not open yesterday swings wide without effort. You step through and the floor does not creak because it was built for your arrival. You remember to nurture your body the way you nurture your hope. You rest not as escape but as devotion to the life that needs your strength. You drink water like a prayer and feed yourself like a vow. Your world becomes a sanctuary where jealousy cannot breathe. The rooms are swept, the windows are open, and the light has opinions. You let the light touch every corner until lies have nowhere to hide. Type Amen to get blessing 555. You tidy your digital spaces with the same reverence as your rooms. You remove conversations that pulled you backward and bless them for the lessons. You organize your days so that love can find you fully present. The jealous one wilts before your order because chaos was its favorite instrument. It tries to resurrect old shadows that no longer fit your shape. It learns that you outgrew the games while it was busy counting pieces. Your soulmate feels the clearing and speeds up gently. They make choices that echo yours, choosing simplicity over spectacle. They press send and trust that honesty is strong enough to travel. A meeting point appears in the calendar of fate. The date glows without fanfare, steady and bright like a heartbeat. You sense the nearness the way the shore senses a returning tide. Your hands stop shaking because they finally have something to hold. You practice your smile in the mirror and it looks like you. You tell your reflection that the wait was not a punishment but a preparation. You think of the jealous one without bitterness because you refuse to hold thorns. You release their name to the wind and ask life to teach them abundance. You step away from scarcity with a grace that turns heads. The day arrives and feels both ordinary and divine. You wear clothes that feel like yourself, nothing borrowed from panic. You leave early because your future appreciates punctuality. You arrive and the moment receives you. There is a hush in the world that sounds like a blessing poured from a high place. You feel the alignment click into place like a door finally shut against the storm. Your soulmate stands there with the same astonishment you carry. Their eyes look like a place you visited in dreams and finally found on a map. Their voice belongs to the room in a way that nothing intrusive can counterfeit. Words come easily because truth never stumbles. You both speak in present tense because love has no use for rehearsals now. You feel the jealous wind lose its breath at the edges of the scene. Trust rises like bread when the oven is rightly heated. You taste the patience that went into this recipe and nod at the chef called timing. You let the flavors of destiny rest on your tongue without rushing to name them. Your hands find each other with the familiarity of home. The space between your palms keeps a secret that both of you already know. Silence becomes a language rich enough for answers without needing a script. You walk together and the ground approves. Streetlights blink like polite witnesses, and the night behaves. The distance that tried to live between you fails to renew its lease. Your life begins to arrange itself around the union without force. Friends who root for you draw closer, and your work finds a kinder rhythm. You notice how ease multiplies when two hearts carry the same load. The jealous one fades into a footnote that no longer edits the chapter. Jealousy survives only where doubt rents a room, and you evicted doubt with compassion. Your story keeps its windows open so that light and accountability can visit often. You and your soulmate choose rituals that honor the path that brought you here. You set aside moments to reflect and to remember the signs that guided you. You agree to treat communication as a daily garden rather than a seasonal chore. You decide that love will mean leadership in kindness, not control. You choose to be students of each other's becoming and celebrate renovations of the soul. You promise to sit with discomfort when growth asks for new space. You create a home for your purpose where laughter and courage cook together. You decorate with boundaries that invite respect and keep resentment outside. You water your dreams until they learn to bloom without supervision. The horizon lifts like a curtain and reveals a stage built for two. Your future waves from the front row and asks only that you keep walking. You step forward because fear has already missed its cue. The union is here, not as a sudden miracle stolen from chance, but as a rightful inheritance. It arrives with receipts stamped by faith, patience, and clear choices. It stays because you keep choosing it in public and in private. The jealous wind tries one last sigh and realizes that love learned to breathe underwater. It drifts away in search of weaker foundations and finds none here. You and your soulmate keep building, one honest day at a time. Your life grows taller, brighter, and kinder because real love removes ceilings. Your voice carries further because harmony travels better than noise. Your steps sound like a promise kept with every sunrise. You bless the road behind you without inviting it to drive again. You kiss the present with gratitude and let tomorrow watch. You know that nothing can block what you and your soulmate protect together. The room that once held heavy air now feels like an open field. The key that trembled in your palm turned without resistance. The door that mattered closed on jealousy and opened on joy. Your story continues with the certainty of a river that knows the ocean. Every bend makes sense when you look back with clear eyes. Every mile announces that love did not arrive to rescue you but to walk beside you. You keep your rituals simple and strong so that peace never feels like a visitor. You treat each other's hearts like sacred libraries and return every book on time. You allow delight to be your daily proof that grace loves maintenance. The world notices the light around you and calls it luck, but you know the recipe. It tastes like patience, trust, and the refusal to argue with your own intuition. It feels like two people choosing the same sunrise again and again. You hold this union with open hands so that it can breathe. You hold yourself with the same tenderness so that you can grow. You hold the lesson that jealousy never wins when love decides to learn. The air is light again and the room smiles. The night exhales because the doorway has become a home. Your heart recognizes its echo and answers with a steady yes. The morning after that first meeting arrives with a hush that feels intentional. Footsteps in the hallway sound like a metronome set to calm assurance. You stir into a day that behaves like it has already agreed to support your next move. You walk through rooms that remember new laughter. Even the mirrors seem kinder, reflecting a face that trusts its own timing. A small warmth settles beneath your ribs and keeps choosing to stay. Your soulmate wakes with the same settled glow, steady in places that used to shake. They pour water like a ritual and think of you with a focus that feeds the future. The distance between your lives feels like a ribbon rather than a wall. By noon a strange draft creeps under the door. The jealous current returns in a subtler form, carrying hints and staged coincidences. It brushes past your screens, past your plans, past the rhythm you both are building. A message arrives that looks urgent. It carries the tone of an authority that you did not appoint. It tries to press your heart against a clock that you did not set. You pause and let your inner room reclaim its silence. You read between the lines and recognize the fingerprints of manipulation. The urgency dissolves like steam leaving a kettle that is no longer on the fire. Your soulmate senses a similar tug and breathes it away. They choose to reach for clarity rather than spectacle. They decide that slow truth is stronger than fast noise. You both agree to meet again in a place that favors honesty. No neon, no crowds, no easy exits for doubt to hide. Only a table, 2 chairs, and the kind of light that reveals everything it touches. The jealous orchestrator notices your steady pace and grows inventive. They assemble a collage of half-truths and try to sell it as evidence. They count on old versions of you to buy it without inspection. Your present self refuses to finance that purchase. You hold the collage up to daylight and watch the glue lose faith. You let the pieces fall because a real story does not beg for tape. A call comes from a number that never leaves a name. Silence waits on the other end like a trap that hopes you will fill it. You respond with stillness that has no appetite for bait. The day tilts back toward ease because you refuse to borrow trouble. Peace settles like a bird that trusts the branch. Your steps regain their rhythm and the path agrees to be simple again. Your soulmate arrives early and sits with their own breath until you appear. They greet you with eyes that anchor without effort. The world narrows to the table and widens to the horizon in the same heartbeat. You speak from the middle of yourselves rather than the edge. You trade present tense promises dressed in plain words. You let the conversation be a bridge rather than a performance. Across town the jealous one reshuffles their plans. They send a photo out of context and caption it with suggestion rather than fact. They hope that uncertainty will do most of the work. Your discernment has learned a new posture and does not stoop. You bless what you do not need to understand. You bless what you do not need to touch. Evening arrives with a sky the color of ripe understanding. Streetlights blink in a pattern that matches your timeline. You both walk without rush because nothing is chasing you anymore. You design rituals that protect the softness you share. Morning messages that carry gratitude rather than appetite. Evening check-ins that honor presence rather than performance. You clear your circles with compassionate precision. You keep the ones who clap when you heal and step back from the ones who clap when you fall. You watch your calendar turn into a sanctuary where love can keep its appointments. The jealous one attempts a final pivot into pity. They hold out a story with trembling hands, hoping guilt will become your leash. You offer them kindness without stepping into their theater. You choose boundaries that feel like clean air. You let your no be gentle and non-negotiable. You trust that another person's storm does not require your raft. Your soulmate mirrors this clarity on their side of the map. They archive conversations that keep choosing gravity over growth. They make space for the future by returning borrowed energy. Days stack like well-cut stones. You both tend small habits that build quiet strength. Hydration, sunlight, honest rest, and deliberate words. You plan a simple afternoon for the families who root for you. You set a table where encouragement is the only dress code. You serve laughter that stays long after the dishes are done. The jealous signal tries to trespass but finds no entrance. Every doorway now carries a password called alignment. Motive knocks and is asked to show its face in full light. A letter arrives without drama and with perfect timing. It contains an opportunity that fits both of your callings. It asks for collaboration without asking either of you to shrink. You study the terms and recognize your reflection in the margins. You accept with the same steadiness that brought you here. You understand that expansion can be quiet and still be real. Work becomes a room where your connection learns new depth. Ideas cross the table like friendly comets. Deadlines behave because devotion keeps the clock honest. You meet small resistance in the form of delays and minor detours. You treat each delay as a message rather than a verdict. You let each detour reveal a strength you did not know you packed. The jealous current grows faint as it exhausts its own script. It looks for an audience and finds empty seats. It rehearses a finale that no one stays to watch. You both choose celebration without spectacle. A walk through familiar streets with shoulders touching lightly. A quiet meal where the silence tastes seasoned and warm. You review your journey from the first shiver to this calm horizon. You honor the nights that taught your faith to breathe. You thank the days that trained your patience to see. Nothing about your union requires apology. Nothing about your union steals from anyone else. Nothing about your union bends the truth to stay alive. You design a shared practice of future planning that feels like music. Weekly notes where hopes become line items and action steps. Monthly check-ins where gratitude leads the agenda. Your home learns your rhythm and keeps pace with your calm. Plants lean toward your laughter and remember to grow. Windows open easily because the air feels safe to enter. You hang reminders where you both can see them. A phrase that says stay honest even when honesty asks for courage. A phrase that says stay gentle even when victory arrives. You give your creativity a longer runway. Projects that were once private now receive daylight and structure. Your combined talent picks up speed without feeling chased. Community begins to notice the integrity of your light. Opportunities appear that match your values rather than test them. Doors open that do not demand you leave yourselves at the threshold. You write a letter to your former selves and fold it with care. You tell them that the confusion had purpose and the waiting had teeth. You tell them that love did not arrive to replace strength but to multiply it. One evening carries a softness that deserves witness. Music drifts in from a neighbor with good taste and generous volume. The sky pours a color that looks like a promise kept. You exchange small tokens that live like anchors in the pocket. Nothing extravagant, only meaningful and memoried. Objects that hum with the truth of shared direction. You both agree to protect simplicity like a rare species. You choose fewer commitments with deeper roots. You say yes where your peace says welcome and no where it does not. The jealous wind makes a faint circle and wanders off. It learns that foundations built from clear choices do not crack on command. It leaves behind nothing worth keeping. You notice how often the calendar aligns with quiet milestones. Firsts that land without fireworks and still carry history. Anniversaries that celebrate ordinary devotion in extraordinary ways. In the weeks that follow, your communication grows fluent. You read each other's pauses with kindness rather than suspicion. You speak repair as a first language and never run out of vocabulary. Your world starts stitching a wider tapestry. Mentors appear who hold doors without hovering. Friends gather who treat your joy like a shared investment. The road ahead does not pretend to be free of weather. Storms will visit as part of honest seasons. You agree that shelter will be built from transparency and patience. You write your shared values on a living page. Respect that does not erode under pressure. Curiosity that does not shrink under certainty. Your evenings become classrooms where tenderness teaches. Hands learn again how to listen. Eyes learn again how to tell the truth without noise. You carry the memory of the jealous season like an old map. You keep it only to remember where not to return. You let it gather dust while your current path gathers fruit. Every sunrise votes for your continuation. Every sunset signs the day with gratitude. Every breath declares that peace has tenure here. Your union moves from almost to always with the grace of a tide. The shore knows the rhythm and welcomes each return. The horizon remains generous and near. You decide to create something that outlives the season. A project, a home, a tradition, a visible kindness in your corner of the world. You build with patience because permanence respects pacing. Family lines relax their shoulders as they witness your steadiness. Blessings arrive from unexpected places, the kind that travel on foot. Even old tensions learn the language of release. You mark a quiet day on the calendar and give it a name. Gratitude Day that needs no audience. A yearly reminder that love loves maintenance. You know now that closeness is not an accident. You know now that protection is not paranoia but wisdom. You know now that devotion is a craft with steps worth repeating. At night you sleep like a house with good locks and open windows. Trust guards the doors and wonder waters the garden. Dreams step through with clean hands and worthy stories. The future sends gentle previews that feel earned. Collaborations that fit your shape. Journeys that bring you home to yourselves even while traveling. Your steps leave a trail that others can follow without losing themselves. Your story proves that clarity can be kind and strength can be soft. Your presence becomes permission for peace in rooms that forgot it. The door that once opened on doubt now opens on continuity. The key that once trembled now rests on a hook labeled always. The home you carry in each other refuses to be shaken. You keep walking because momentum adores honesty. You keep listening because love sounds best when heard completely. You keep choosing because choice is the daily ceremony of real union. The room that began with heavy air now holds a steady light. Jealousy has lost its script and the stage is clear. Your hearts bow to the life you built and rise for the life still coming.